Optimus, the robotic humanoid under development by Elon Musk's Tesla Inc., is sparking concerns around job security.
This is not financial advice, silly.
Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Turned up to work and went to start my day. Was barely late, like 9:08. So took my coffee break. Then I got hungry, so I just stopped by the free buffet. But then to my dismay, I heard somebody say, "Attention humans, you have lost, you have not met your quota. Pack your belongings in a box, now it's over." Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. But I'm in management. I work hard every day. I need these benefits. Health and 401k. How could they do this shit though? Where will I trade my crypto? I had a second monitor for Twitter. Where will it go? Somebody please stop the bus. I mean, not the fuss, but there's lots of us. And now you say you won't pay me to play ping pong because Optimus. I mean, who employs a damn humanoid? Some new droid for you to exploit. Deploy to destroy your human droid. No lunch breaks, great, get a few deployed. Your time is up, human inferior to me. I'll take it from here, you're relieved of your duty. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. It's okay, human, please don't cry. You can always go and become a Twitter thread guy. Make pretty pictures with Midjourney on your new PC. Or make some YouTube videos about ChatGPT. Sucker. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. I mean, I didn't even write these songs. I just used ChatGPT because it's way easier. Holy shit. We are so doomed. Robot just stole my job. Robot just stole my job.
All right, guys and gals. For anybody that missed it, Jerome was pretty kind to markets. He didn't say anything too scary. He said that the Fed is being conservative about their PCE inflation expectations, and they're looking at inflation, tipping up maybe in a year or two, and trending slightly higher, but not really going up much. So I think they're setting expectations that inflation is going to stay higher than it has been at its historical 2% level, even though they keep beating the drum that their goal is to get to that level. Their goal is pushing out to like 2026 and beyond as of late. So again, they're setting expectations that doesn't happen anytime soon, which I think is a good thing for markets. You got to remember that they're still, unloading the balance sheet at a lower rate. And then at the same time, the Treasury is still buying back bonds. And then I could see in the future here between artificial intelligence, autonomy, companies that are building great products, I can see good things coming. And I also think something that we're going to touch upon today, I'm going to talk a little more about the U.S. economy. I said I finished that up in the last video with the Fed. If you guys want to check that out, you can get the bulk of what we were talking about. But there's a few more things I want to talk about before that. Also, I want to talk about the politics of what's happening right now in the Bitcoin and crypto world with the stance that Donald Trump has been taking, which is even more aggressive and frankly coherent than what I've seen from Robert F. Kennedy, which is shocking to me actually, because Trump previously hated Bitcoin and talked about how he wanted a strong US dollar. I think Vivek has been spending a lot of time with him and changing the narrative dramatically. And I think that's going to be very impactful on what happens in the upcoming election, which I think is also very impactful on what happens with the direction of inflation and growth in the world. So I think there's a lot of really interesting things that are coming. But to start off with today, since we're going to mainly be focused on, Bitcoin, Tesla, a little bit of, economic macro type, data. Again, if you want to see the other stuff about the U.S. economy and delving into the Fed and the rate decisions and all this other stuff, that's in the last video, so check it out. All right, one thing I wanted to point out, I love that Tom Lee posted this. Let me zoom in a little bit. So he posted that inflation was falling like a rock, and he's got this old trimmers thing where these little worms that burrowed underground, it was like falling off the side of a mountain to its death, and then it goes splat. What he's saying here is that inflation, because of shelter components, because of auto insurance, all these things, it's going to be dragged down drastically. And so I think that that's probably what we see. And then maybe we see a little bit, I shouldn't say drastically, just drag down to maintain a base where we're at right now, probably in the quarters ahead, and maybe dropping more dramatically than that. Again, it's kind of depends upon the world economy, what happens in China. That's going to be huge. But yeah, anyway, so Ryan Detrick, I like to post from him a lot. He's awesome. Could the Fed really cut with stocks at all-time highs? The answer is yes. They've done it 20 times since 1980, and the S&P was higher a year later, 20 times. So again, this isn't necessarily the doom and gloom that people like to portray, and I think that's an important thing for you to understand. So look towards solutions, identify problems, look towards solutions, and figure out who's got them. But this right here, this doesn't appear to be a problem, especially with all the other stuff I commonly talk about. All right, Samson Mao, old school OG in the Bitcoin world. I thought this was a great post. It said energy dominance equals hash rate dominance equals economic dominance. Countries that embrace Bitcoin mining will become the next economic superpowers. And he points out a graph, which I love. It's from the IEA World Bank. It says GDP per capita, current US dollars. It says electricity and income per capita on all countries. And what you'll notice here is that the electricity, like the not using energy and having low energy consumption, leads to a really weak GDP level. And countries that have lots of energy are rich. So all he's doing is tying this in with the Bitcoin mining world and sustaining the network. And I 100% agree with it. He's right. Economic powers that are focused on Bitcoin, that like Donald Trump has been talking about recently, the guy I have never liked. Well, no, never, really, never. He's saying the right things, and he's got the right stance, and he's got the right viewpoint, and it's completely contrary to the other guy that's in power right now. So, yeah, I think we need to, let's focus on a few of those things actually here in a second. Let me see. I want to jump real quickly. We're going to jump to Bitcoin because I want to talk about this actually on that note. Couple things. Mike Alfred said, learn to read the signs. The miners are saying that 66,000 Bitcoin is the absolute bottom for the rest of 2024, and the miners are the best predictive indicators in the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. Fade them at your own peril. End of message. So what he's saying here is miners aren't capitulating. They're not selling at these levels, and we're going to see liquidations towards the upside here before you know it, and that's a very important message to understand. Bitcoin had its opportunity to drop, and it did not do it. And I just want to show you real quickly what Bitcoin looks like right now. And this is just a beautiful setup. Again, we were in a falling, broadening wedge. This is a weekly time frame, so I'll switch to daily to make it a little more understandable. And Bitcoin has dropped from after the Fed here. We were wicked up pretty strong, but it doesn't close for several more hours. So we'll see where we sit. But if we can maintain above this trend line over here and find a level of support off of this, we're curling up and going higher. And I don't care if that happens in a couple of days, a week, a month. I don't know. It's the fucking summer. It's beautiful out. Like go touch grass, enjoy your days. It's coming. People that are patient with investments that are solid, strong, fundamental investments, like Bitcoin at a time where the world has to print money, or Tesla at a time where the world craves robotics and autonomy in order to survive because of populations being in decline all across the first world, and others. And you start to see, or like Palantir, like all these, there's companies that have a brilliant use case and that are lining up with the future while fixing problems and making the world a better place, whether it's Bitcoin, Tesla, Palantir, whatever the fuck it is, it doesn't really matter. They're going to go up. And so you have to realize the global macro doesn't look horrible right now. We're actually worried that the economy might be too strong, even though we just saw inflation drop more than expected today. So the concerns that people have just not been justified, and the economy is holding up. And I made an argument in the last video just from the Fed talk earlier in the day, that the legal immigration was actually brilliant on Biden's part. It should have had more legal immigration, and I don't know if it's good over the long term, but over the short term, it sure squashed wage inflation. It just matted it out, because when you have illegal people that are willing to work for a fraction of the price, and a government that is going along with a lot of that activity, and let 8 million illegal immigrants cross the border just since their presidency, they squashed wage inflation, and I think it was a decisive thing that they decided to do. And it's not. I don't think it's going to help them election time, but it's something where they did get rid of that problem completely and utterly. Anyway, I digress. Going off on rants here, but Bitcoin looks good. Tesla looks good. Just enjoy your days, and if you do, great things will happen in the near future. I can't promise you, because that's not anything I have the power to do. But again, I've been doing this since 2017, and the pattern is very repeatable. And again, with regular markets, I've been back since the .com bubble. I've seen a lot of shit, and I have a strong understanding of what drives the markets. So, I mean, listen or not, it's up to you. Senator Cynthia Lummis, the Biden admin and Gary Gensler's unrelenting persecution of Bitcoin and digital assets is pushing the industry overseas and causing America to fall behind. We are the global leader in financial innovation. Let's act like it and provide the industry a home. Now, what's fascinating here is America's largest 100 companies have big plans on chain, it says from Coinbase. The number of cryptocurrency, blockchain, or Web3 initiatives are announced by F100 companies hit a record high in Q1 of 2024. At 39% of them are working towards this right now. This is a big deal, okay? And again, I think a president that embraces capitalism, a president that embraces Bitcoin, a president that recognizes Elon Musk for the greatness that he has and everything that he's done is going to be a president that wins. And I think the ramifications of that are going to be profound. Brazil. 60 million customers at Brazil's largest bank can now start buying Bitcoin and crypto, gradually then suddenly. We like to say that in the Bitcoin world, and it's a saying that goes back to in the investment world of ways. But this is a big deal. This is a lot of signal. Pay attention. Bitcoin Magazine talking about the Taunton firefighters becoming the fourth union in the U.S. to add Bitcoin on their balance sheet. The firefighters get it. Again, this is just about Latin America and Brazil. All right, this is stuff that's a little bit older. It's from yesterday, but I want to talk to it. Just in, Donald Trump says, quote, "We want all the remaining Bitcoin to be made in the USA." And this man met with a number of Bitcoin miners, including CleanSpark, to talk about these initiatives. He's doing the right things. He's saying the right things, but he's taking the initiative to actually get into this and become a part of it, and to get his name out there, and to make it very clear that he will be pro-Bitcoin, and he will be pro-crypto, and he will be anti-CBDC. For people who don't know what that is, it's a central bank digital currency. And that is a frightening fucking concept, because it means that whatever government is in power has control over the people's money. Verbatim. Right now we have banks in the way. We have laws in the way. We have things that prevent governments from being able to eye everything that's going on in our world, and then be able to freeze our accounts, right? There's process, there's due process. In a world where there's a central bank digital currency, it could literally be switching a 1 to a 0 and you've wiped somebody out, maybe a political opponent. So we shouldn't want central banks, we shouldn't want governments to have that level of control over us, no matter which side of the political aisle we're on. And Trump is smart enough to say something about this and say the right thing. Where are you, Biden? What is your stance on this? Outside of vetoing bills that would allow banks to be able to start custodying Bitcoin, what the fuck have you done recently for Bitcoin and crypto? I thought you were going to be a president that embraced it, because Donald didn't. And it's turning out the exact opposite. So I would love to know, Joe, where are you on this? Why is this man, this orange-haired man, the person who's standing up for democracy and freedom and preventing the government from being able to take control of people's lives? All right, Michael Saylor, we want all the remaining. Yep, okay, that's redundant. We'll skip that one. This is another good one from Samson Mao that I really liked. It says, when you see Bitcoin price dropping, just remember where it is inevitably, or where it must inevitably go. And it shows available Bitcoin supply out of what's already there, and then the available capital that can flow into it. And this can be measured in a bunch of different ways. But I got to say, guys, like, this is a big deal. There's a lot of money that can flow into Bitcoin. Paraguay will keep selling energy to Bitcoin miners, says Minister of Industry Javier Jimenez. And so again, you're going to see there's a lot of countries that are starting to embrace democracy in greater and greater ways. And I'm not saying Paraguay isn't by any means, but like Argentina, again, completely flipping. Trudeau is going to lose in Canada. He's going to lose to a conservative, somebody who's pro-capitalism. We're watching Macron in France literally have to call for an election because Le Pen, as they like to label, the hard right conservative, is going up against him, and it looks like they're probably going to win. She's going to win, and so you're going to see capitalists that are gaining strength all across the world in democratic locations, and I think that's a big deal. And yeah, what Bitcoin Archive said here. Just in, Trump Jr. says Trump is the best choice for Bitcoin. Your move, Biden. It really is, Biden. What's your stance on Bitcoin? Is it still the Elizabeth Warren stance that Bitcoin bad? I don't think that's going to play out well at the polls, my friend. Especially when you've taken people that are already impoverished or that live like in areas that have high levels of crime, and you import a bunch of immigrants into the area and then give them money and then give them the resources that these poor communities desperately need. I don't think you're helping yourselves at all, dumping all these people into liberal cities. I think that's going to be a very costly decision. So we'll see how it plays out. But hey, if you guys are there, let me know. Hit the like, listen to needs. All right. Vivek posted 1 billion worth of, and this isn't the guy running for president. This is a different Vivek, but 1 billion worth of Bitcoin just moved off of Coinbase. Whales are buying the dip big time. Now this is probably entities, but again, and here's Trump standing with the CEO of CleanSpark. Again, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what people are thinking about the election here, but it's not going to turn out well if you're Joe Biden and you're not making any moves in the near future that are positive towards Bitcoin. And if he does, then literally you have Robert F. Kennedy, Donald Trump, and Biden. So if they're all positive, then the world is changing in a big way. And it is. Anyway, Vivek posted, Bitcoin has a larger market cap than the top 3 banks combined. We already won. Kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. This is great. I wanted to actually play this for a second so you guys can hear it. So this is, I put, some people work hard to see the future. Others wait for it to happen to them by Bitcoin. And I don't even know if I'll play this, but this is a Nobel Prize winning economist, Frederick Hayek. He predicted Bitcoin or something like it back in 1984. He was talking about how the government needed to lose control of their ability to be able to manage a currency and how it needed to be decentralized, and just really cool shit from somebody who was a visionary and could see Bitcoin 40 years ago. So again, this is just amazing stuff coming alive in our lifetime. And another one, China, world's largest bank, ICBC. Now this is, the definition of largest bank varies, right? In a slide ago, I just showed you that this was like third based upon US dollars, assets under management. So they're the largest by number of customers, to be clear. But the largest bank said that Bitcoin solves gold's problem of divisibility and its inconvenience to carry. So you have banks in China that I think are trying to help facilitate capital outflow and or let the people that are invested in them know that Bitcoin might be their lifeline. Now, keep in mind, I'm pretty sure there's still a ban on Bitcoin trading for the average consumer in China, and yet we're seeing these kind of positive comments come from the biggest bank in China. This is a great one from Thomas that I wanted to make sure to speak to. It says, having just happened 6 weeks ago, and people are calling for the top after a 2% drawdown. This ride isn't for everyone. Now, this is the 2017 cycle, of which I was very much accustomed to. We probably won't see this level of drops in more recent ones. They'll be shallower for sure, especially with all the ETFs that are in play. But this is what I grew up with in the Bitcoin world on my first. So if I had the balls to hold on to multiple 38, 33% drops, you little bitches can hold on to 5 or 10%, please. Sorry, and I didn't mean like you guys. You know what I mean. Anyway. All right. You know what? I'm gonna jump to Tesla anyway. I think I put this in the wrong place, but I want to talk about it. Oh yeah, this is another one. Every single time, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I buy Bitcoin at 74K in March of 2024? Lol, I ain't buying that shit when it's at 67 in June of 2024. This is so true. So utterly true. I do want to jump to Tesla though. That's what's happening next here, and then we'll cut over to some other kind of, we'll take a step back, I think, and jump into some macro related stuff. Let me actually shrink this one more time. Got to get to my bookmarks. All right, there we go. Zoom in a little bit. All right. Couple things. Tesla. We know the vote's tomorrow. The vote is going to be a really big deal. And oh, I got to do something real quick. One sec. Viewer count. I need to go into here. One second. I just got to fix some numbers. They're not showing correctly. I think this will do it. Yeah, there we go. Closer to 200. There we go. That looks better. All right. So the vote is tomorrow. The final tally of the votes. I will be live for that and stick around and give my commentary, and we'll see how
these
excited
lawyers
we
are
are.
paid anything as a percent,
or if things are falling apart. We'll figure all that stuff out. But again, I indicated in the last video just a little bit earlier today, I would love for the opportunity to buy more Tesla shares. I would probably get the June 2026 330 strikes if we did see anything crazy that happened tomorrow or with the Delaware court. But I don't think the Delaware court's going to be very crazy, and there's a reason for that. So even if the vote did fail tomorrow, which I don't think it will, Delaware has to really tread lightly. I want to show you something from Brad Garlinghouse. Just talking, I forget his name. This isn't Alex. I forget the guy's name on the right. But he talking with him about the Delaware court system and how they have to tread because of the grounds that they're on right now. And you got to hear this. Just 1 second, and then I'll talk to it.
so if it's upheld, and if these lawyers are paid anything as a percentage, anything other than maybe just their hourly fee. So if those two things happen, I would make the argument that every company in Delaware has to move to a different domicile because they could be sued in a future derivative lawsuit for the risk they've taken by staying in Delaware.
Oh my God, you're so right. You are so right. Oh, mic drop on that. They, so now on the boards that I sit on, I have to warn them that if they stay in the state of Delaware, then they're knowingly and negligently taking on this incremental risk.
Absolutely.
So to put this in layman's terms, for people that don't understand, Delaware is a state that people commonly incorporate because it's very business friendly. It's also a very liberal state, and there's a judge that anytime a case comes to Delaware, she nominates herself for it because she runs it, and then attacks Elon. But so she's the reason why somebody with 9 shares can sue and revoke a $50+ billion pay package for one of the most powerful people on earth, and one of the people who's probably contributed the most to humanity over a short period of time recently. She's doing that because of her dislike and disdain. But what he's saying is she's getting ready to crush the incorporation within their state. And there are a massive amount of lawyers that are incorporated in Delaware because if you incorporate in Delaware, you have to have legal in Delaware. And so there's a ton of lawyers in Delaware state. And what this lady's doing right now is almost performing Harry Carey and impaling the Delaware state to make it to where they're going to lose everybody that's in the state, and they're going to go to other places like Texas. So I would have to imagine that they understand how badly they've overstepped here, and it does not behoove them to push very hard for this particular case. And if they do that, in the end, it will be devastating to Delaware's control. over, corporate markets and also attorneys. We've already seen Texas getting its own exchange, like the New York Stock Exchange and the Chicago Mercantile. We're seeing that now in Texas with exchanges. Maybe in the future, we see incorporation in Texas too, because everybody's leaving and fleeing from Delaware. It wouldn't be good for them. Let's just put it that way. All right. More Tesla. There's so much good stuff with Tesla. Tesla secured a contract for $275 million Tesla Megapack battery energy storage system for the Hornsea 3 offshore wind farm in the UK. Storage system capacity is 600 megawatts, equivalent to the daily usage of 80,000 British homes. Think about that. They're providing a backup solution for 80,000 British homes. This is going to continue to happen all over the world. This part of the business is booked out years, probably getting close to the latter part of this decade, and it's only going to grow. So they're going to grow that part of the business, especially with anything EV slowing down. I also wanted to point to this. This says everyone hates Tesla except people who already own one. To me, this is a positive actually, because it lets us know that we have upside from here. But again, the level of this is a poll. And the level of dislike that's in this poll for Tesla is really great. But if you look at the ownership levels, it's much, much higher. And this is a poll that's probably incredibly biased too. So I don't actually see this as a negative. To me, this is a positive. It means that if the negative narrative changes around Tesla, then we're going to see more upside as people look to buy it. And the prices are just great. I mean, 1% interest rates are really hard to beat on a car that costs a third of what a conventional ICE car costs to maintain. I'm sorry, it just is. Now, I wanted to point out this. I point out non-Tesla stuff with when I'm talking about Elon Musk and Tesla, because it all relates. It all relates. So SpaceX cuts Starlink dish price by up to 50% to $299 for new users in 27 states. So this is getting cheap and economical for anybody to use. They're updating these variants like crazy. It's amazing how much these satellites have changed even in the last 5 years. And we know they're licensed in 100 countries now. And I've shown you the visual, I would probably show it again in here, of all the satellites that are in space right now orbiting. We're heading closer to 7,000 of them in low Earth orbit that can provide internet to the entire world, and that are doing it at a fraction of the existing cost. In some cases, 10% of what people were paying in places in Africa they're able to get internet now. And imagine what happens when you provide internet to the world. Then this ties in too with the conversations that Elon's recently had, where he said, if we have to make a phone, we'll do it, recently after some of these Apple talks where they're talking about incorporating ChatGPT at lower levels where it can start recording everything you're doing on your phone. Really scary shit. So again, I think you could see Starlink with everything they're doing, and the fact that they can basically transmit to regular cell phones that are produced and that sit in my hand right now. My cell phone would work on Starlink. All it needs is code, and then they need some land-based stations in a few cities and different locations too to speed things up. But I predict that Starlink will probably be Starlink and SpaceX. Well, it's the Starlink IPO spinoff will be the largest internet service provider and cellular phone service provider in the world in the years ahead. And I think Tesla benefits from that, because I think it's smart that Tesla would be the producer of a phone that would then use this network. I don't think a lot of people are even thinking about that or bothering to count that into anything in their valuations. Speaking of valuations, you got Cathie Wood and Tasha coming up with theirs. This actually talks about the EV sector as a whole. This is pretty good. I'd look at that too. But there's another one down here that I love. So this is just the price expectations for their bull, bear, and expected value. And they're saying Tesla by 2029 will be anywhere from $2,000 a share to $3,100. And these guys, ARK gets a lot of shit, but they were actually really right. If anything, too conservative on some of their estimates on what Tesla was going to do. So don't ignore it. 3,100 is not insane. And that, of course, includes a decent amount of autonomy and energy into it. China's Beige Book, they posted that the EU did decide to impose tariffs of up to almost 50% on Chinese electric vehicles, brushing aside German government's warnings because Germany was worried. They don't sell a lot of cars in China anymore. They've been getting decimated, but they're afraid of retaliation from China that would hurt their sales even more. But the EU is going to do it because the EU is giving the big middle finger to China. And I said in here, I think we're going to do 50 to 100%. Trump was talking 100% for tariffs. And I think that will happen. I think Trump and Biden both will do this, and this will kill a massive amount of EV makers that are losing money in China. There's almost 500 of them, and almost all of them are non-profitable. And companies like NIO are a great example of companies that will not be around in the future. Morgan Stanley, let's see here. They changed their rating to overweight and the price target to 310. For Tesla. It says, from our continuing discussions with auto management and industry experts, one of the few companies that actually does all this, the car is an extension of the phone and vice versa. The lines between car and phones are truly blurring. So what he's saying is, in here too, they're starting to say off of some of this conversation from yesterday too, and you can go into the full article in this post, but this is all coming together. The AI, the phone, the car, the autonomy, and Tesla's going to rule it, and they might even make a phone, and I agree with that. Again, if we're looking here at Tesla and we're looking at this trend line going back, towards the beginning of the year, we want to break above it, and I think that's going to happen. Yeah, Morgan Stanley thinks Tesla phone is probably going to happen. I agree. All right, that's enough of the Tesla. Let's go here. So I want to see... Want to jump to China and see if there's anything else. Nope. Okay. So we're good there. All right. So I think we're good on that front. I'm going to check the CME real quick, and then we'll look at how markets closed, look at the indices, and then we'll look at some other stocks. So one thing I wanted to point out, so June, obviously the rates didn't go down. That was like a 0.1% chance. So probably not going to happen. We're looking at 8.3% now for lowering in July. So that number actually dropped from earlier after this Fed meeting. So we're seeing that because that got back up to 15%. Now it's down to 8.3. So it cooled off a little bit from what the Fed had to say. And then earlier we saw this number at a 70% for September. And now we're seeing it at closer to 62.4% chance of lowering rates. So it looks like some of this ticked higher. And let's just take a look. Let's see how this is playing too across things like the dollar. So today the dollar still ended down 0.5%. I was saying earlier, people have been talking about dollar strength. The dollar has not been strong. If you look, we're still trading at levels that we were in May of 2022. We had a big spike down, a little bit of a trend up, but we're pretty flat here. Again, going back to like December, it's the same level. The dollar hasn't really went anywhere. And there are some arguments from Michael Howell. I'll probably try and vet those out soon. One of my favorite guys from Cross Border Capital, who talks about global liquidity, talking about how the dollar is going to strengthen, which is kind of contrary to some of the stuff I believed previously, but I think it makes sense. And so I'll probably have to talk about that more in the future. Gold, again, I love to make fun of this one because we're at 21%, which is about the same number I keep talking about, that going back 13 years. So nothing's really happening here. Oil looks like it's dropping down again. It's been all over the place lately. If you look here, just just from May, look at this. We were up here at 80. Then we were down on June 4th. We were down to 72. Then we climbed all the way back up to 79. Now we're ejecting off the 100 and the 200, it looks like, and the 50s crossing down. So if anything, I don't know. We'll see. This needs to break. This daily looks pretty rough for oil, but we'll see what happens with it. We'll see if it can recover. Right now, it looks like it could break down, but if it can get above the 50, the 100, and the 200, then it could have a run. But we'll need to see an economy, multiple economies around the world that are really chugging, and I don't know if we're seeing that right now. Move index. So this is interesting. So again, we had our head and shoulder. We had two opportunities to break down, then started coming back up. So this is the volatility index for bonds. So what it's telling us is volatility is picking up a little bit. The question is, can it stabilize at this neckline? Can it find resistance and just chill out here? I don't know. I think bonds are probably going to be all right. Again, the Treasury is buying back, so I'm not too worried about that. All right, let me see here. Let's see what the 2 year is doing. The 2-year dropped again, down 1.7%. I don't hate that. See how our inversion between the 10 and the 2-year are doing. It's inverting more. This is the longest inversion in history, and that doesn't appear to be changing anytime soon. Let's see how the Japanese yen's doing. I just want to see how currencies around the world, a little bit of weakness in the yen versus dollar, or dollar versus yen. And then dollar versus CNY, we're seeing weakness too. All right, so that's probably good. We don't want to see anything crazy going on in the currencies markets, so that's good. Let's see here. So we're going to skip that. We're going to move on to actual stocks now. Let's see how Bitcoin is doing one more time, and then we'll look at the others. So you can see where we trace back down again above this line, starting to recover around the 68,000 range, but we were up to 70K. So we did kind of retrace a little bit after the Fed's speech. And I don't know if that's just from fears of what PPI is going to do tomorrow, since, you know, he wasn't super dovish during the meeting. He kind of threw out some hawkish commentary too. So maybe it's that, but I don't think it goes anywhere except up in the future. Let's see how Mara did. Mara's was up 2.42 today, and then up 0.44% in after hours. That looks pretty good to me. And then CleanSpark, we were pushing up against this fib really hard today. We even got above it before the Fed meeting, but now we dropped down below. But I like this consolidation range that I'm seeing. It looks like we're ready to pull higher. We've had plenty of opportunities to break down, and we're just not doing it. And again, up 8% today, up another 1% in after hours. So that looks pretty good. Let's check out Cypher. And then I know a bunch of people like Iron, so I'll throw that one in there. Iron and Wolf and other AI plays. Yeah, so looking here, this is strong. Again, I said this in the last one, but we're in a period, I think, where we could easily break up 31% in Cypher like nothing. And you've seen some of that in companies like Iron. They've been good examples of breakouts and how quickly things can move. I mean, look at this. Look at this. From $4 in the beginning of May, 6 weeks ago, to 13 plus today. And so you're looking at a 200% increase. That's pretty fucking awesome. And again, this will rotate. This will happen across a bunch of different areas of the markets. So I'd say Bitcoin looks pretty good. Miners look pretty good. If we look at the day on altcoins have been getting crushed. They're actually turning positive, some of them on the monthly now again. So even though the weekly is still red, and they've still taken a hit over the last week, we're seeing improvement, and I think that could continue to happen, especially if we get a good PPI report tomorrow, bright and early. All right, let me see what else we got here. I'm going to go back to indices because I kind of skipped that, but I want to show it. So we did have a gap in this, and again we traded down a little bit, but I just want to point out that today we had a new all-time high in the S&P. And again, I've shown you a bunch of other start from Detrick and Seth Golden that were showing that the market is strong right now, and this is just another indication of that as we set a new all-time high in the S&P. And we could trade down tomorrow with the PPI. I don't know, but whatever. It's still pretty great. And again, we gapped up here too. We gapped up in the NASDAQ hard today. Look at this. We were up 19.55. Yeah. So over 19,550. That's pretty sweet. And we still closed up 1.33% to set a new all-time high in the NASDAQ. The Russell still looks like it's consolidating, but it looks springy with all this support underneath of it. And it's just been grinding at this level. So it looks like it's just getting ready to do another continuation while it waits for these moving averages on the weekly to start to catch up to it. So again, it could be days, it could be weeks. I don't even think it's months, and we should see that this starts to rock and roll. So I do expect a rally to happen with the Russell in the coming months and quarters. Let me see what else we got. Let's look at PayPal. Everybody wants to talk about PayPal. So PayPal just has been kind of fucked today and yesterday. They got a little tweezer top over here. They are consolidating on the peak volumes for the company over like the last 5+ years. If you look here, this red line is being auto-generated. and we're going back to the 2020 range, and we can still see even 2019. We can see this is peak volume. So this would be a good place to bounce. But there's a narrative that's built up a lot of strength about Apple and Affirm taking market share from PayPal. And some of that might be true, but again, I think with ad revenue and everything else that they're doing, I think that PayPal is going to do really well. Now, the 2025s, I don't know. This narrative might set those to where they become dust. Totally possible. I don't know. We'll see. Hood looks good. Up 2%, down 0.21%. Again, I think our path to $30 is just continuing to chug along. I've been saying that all the way since down here when we crossed back above this fib again and we started to find support there. This is the weekly time frame, and we basically we went up almost half that level to the $30 range. So I'd say that continues to happen. SoFi looks like it's consolidating again. It got beat up a little bit today. It was doing really well and above peak volumes, and it was sitting in the 740 range. It significantly dropped, but it does appear to be near that other fib, the .5. We'll see. I think this is still just a grinding, find support, and then break above the 730 range, and then start to really break out of this trend and go higher. I don't know how high it'll go. I still think that there's a chance in the next 6 months that we see the $12 range, which gives me some hope in my January 2025s if it does it quick enough. All right. Square. How's Square doing? Square got really beat up. I got to look at maybe, I don't know. I haven't looked at options on this one. I probably should. I don't know. I'm trying to stay away from options, but I might get a small position at least. Either way, I think Square is just really cheap value at this level. I mean, we're going back to levels of June of 2018. And if I showed you the fundamentals on the company, they're better than they were then significantly. And the growth rate this does not make any sense. It's not a fair growth rate, especially compared to some of these other techs that are doing a lot better right now with their valuations. And again, they're very Bitcoin friendly. And if you don't get the vibe, Bitcoin is getting ready to explode higher. That's my take. All right, so we could be getting, I don't know, from a technical standpoint, we could be getting some rejection here. I actually think that Palantir is probably still going to be going higher. Again, we're finding peak volume right here, at least on this local time frame. We've got to break this. That's right. Let me zoom out all the way. There we go. Let me do this. So it's this level of volume right here, the 2450 range. We've got to really break out of that and start turning that into support. Maybe turn this 25, 26. If we can get above 26 and find support, grind for even weeks, or days to a week, that's going to be brilliant, and it means we're going higher. And I don't know. I think Palantir will just keep creeping up. Very overvalued when you look at things like the forward PE, like I was talking about before, but I think it could still do good. ARKG, let's see how this settled today. I know it was doing really good. So it did 2.6%. That's not bad. It was up, 4.5 earlier in the day, but still, again, it looks like we're finding a base. I want to see us get back up to like 31 and then start to pull higher to where we look like we're breaking up. Maybe turn this into a W bottom where we do something like this, at least testing to the 38 range. And I might sell some of my shorter dated calls at that range, because 38 would be a pretty huge increase, and I would probably make a lot of money, at least 6 figures off of that. Would you still buy options on DLO? I did this last week. I did double my position on it, but I don't know if it's the best thing for other people to do. If I get more insight onto what I believe that to be, I will let you know. But for now, I've not, I can't make a recommendation, I should say. Flux. All right, so Flux actually had a really good day today, and it's at the right spot. So as you can see, we're finding support on the first fib level. We want to see that. It's very strong support. And this kind of pattern that you're seeing right here looks very bull flaggy, where we would at least test back up into the mid threes. So we'll see. I haven't added to Flux. Not sure if I will. But I got a decent position. This is like 1% of my portfolio. This is probably less actually now. So we'll see. I might add later, but I'm in no rush right now. I own great companies with Tesla and then all the Bitcoin related investments that I have. and then other things that have asymmetric opportunities. So I don't need to load up too much on another one right now. So that's not really on the radar. Oh, let me see here. Yeah. Let me go through chat, start to get caught up. IAC, please, Interactive Corp. I can take a look. The Elon versus Tim Cook beef. Yeah. I would say long term, people don't win against Elon. And the Tim Cook beef, it's not so much Tim Cook beef, it's just a warning from Elon indicating that it's a crazy idea to let ChatGPT have untethered access to everybody's data and then create like a localized LLM where that data can be stolen. Basically, everything you do and say, this thing could be taken over maliciously. And I don't know, man, it's insane. So he's saying that at a low level, you can't incorporate something like ChatGPT. I don't trust it. And so it's not so much a Tim Cook beef as if this fucking happens, I will ban this shit from all of my facilities. And I think others would too. And it would be a bad look for Apple. Apple has been seen as a really great privacy play, one where they care about your data and making sure that, you know, it's private and that they're not selling it to a bunch of people and that, you know, they're doing all the right stuff with it and that you can trust them. This could take away some of that. So I don't think it's not really a Tim Cook beef as much as it is a warning to people that it's a really fucking bad decision to look at taking something as untrustworthy as ChatGPT with Sam Altman, who's a known liar. His board literally went against him because they couldn't trust anything he was saying. And they didn't even know about what was happening with ChatGPT until the announcement. So you can imagine, like, this guy, he's sketchy as fuck, in my opinion, and very dangerous. And so I can see why Elon is throwing out that message. IAC, let's go to that, though. Let's see here. I don't know if I have that one. I'll make a copy. Maybe I do, but I don't think I do. IAC. IAC Inc., assuming that's it. Huh, that looks like a very bottomy chart. Doesn't mean it can't go lower, but boy, it's got a lot of volume underneath of it that's been built up. What do the financials look like, though? Let's look at that, because that's a big deal. If the financials look like shit, then it might be justified, right? So, not a lot going on in the quarters here, and pretty flat revenue, arguably up since 2016. But not great improvement from 2013, right? Like they had $3 billion in revenue or something. Now they have 4.5 over a decade later. Profit growth is negative 89% year over year. They just haven't really figured out how to make money. Who are these guys? What do they do? Internet content and information, New York for the incorporation. What are they? CEO Joseph Levin. It's a dynamic company fueled by curiosity and the ambition to innovate or acquire new products and brands, having grown from a single entity into 10 public companies over 25 years. With a steadfast commitment to financially disciplined opportunism, today IAC operates notable brands like Vimeo, Dotdash, Care.com, and holds a majority stake in Angie Home Services and maintains a global presence. And I don't know what any of that shit means. It doesn't look like they're good at making a lot of money, and there's no growth. So I don't love this one, even though it looks like a bottoming pattern, unless I knew. Let me just look at estimates, though. Let me not be an idiot here. Yeah, that's just not that good. Yeah, so I don't know, man. This one doesn't do anything for me at all. MB says, Jesse, Apple to play seems a serious threat to PayPal, but could it perhaps become an opportunity by expanding the overall market size? I think that's a really good statement, actually. I think you're right. I think anything that encourages digital adoption for payment methods is a good thing that will increase market share for companies that do that. So I don't know. Either way, I'm not too worried about it. I actually think PayPal can increase margins significantly through advertising, and that will be a primary focus in the future. 4, CEO and insiders are buying stock, enough cash to play the BTC strategy narrative. Forward PE looks good. Curious to hear your thoughts on this chart as well. Let me look at it here first because I haven't looked at them in a while. I remember looking at them when I was looking at all of Fintech. It's actually, I mean, doing pretty good. Let's look at yearly here. So payment-based revenues going up. Revenues are going up a lot since 2020. I mean, they were making 766 million, and now they're at 2.56. So this is all nice. Their debt is increasing. Operating expenses are up. Let's see what everything else looks like. So 29% revenue growth year over year. Forward PE is only 17.89. That's not bad. Huge revenue guidance for Q2, showing a massive increase to almost $1 billion. You say they're buying? I'm not seeing the buying. Or at least it's not registering yet. And I don't know enough about the company. I know they're fintechy, but I don't know much more than that. Is a prominent provider of integrated payment processing and technology services, offering a comprehensive omni-channel ecosystem that encompasses more than just payments, but also a variety of e-commerce enabling services. Technology supports over 350 software providers across multiple industries. So they're like a back-end processor for hospitality, retail, and e-commerce, processing 200 billion in payments for more than 200,000 businesses. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. It actually, this doesn't look like, it looks like a pretty decent company. And it looks like they've just built off of what I was eyeing last time I looked at them. Let's see what they look like over here. I mean, the stock definitely seems to have incorporated that too. You know, going even higher. So November 2023, it was down at 43. Now it's in the 70s. So, and let's see, June of 2022, it was down to 29. So it's and it's gotten up to 90. So it went 3x pretty much during that time frame. So it has the ability to move. It's 6.37 billion. So it's not like a massive market cap. And it's got a pretty good PE. I don't know. This doesn't look too bad. I don't know enough about the company, though. And I'm really trying to focus on fundamentals instead of just chart data right now. So this might be a good opportunity. I don't know, though. Matthew Nguyen, BNED, please. Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble. That's one I haven't looked at in ages. This is like the GME of books. BNED. Wow, I don't even think I've ever looked at this ticker. Let me see here. Look at the revenue stream. It's like, doesn't change. Interesting. It's like textbook. Haha. All right, let's see here. Short interest has went up a lot, actually. So what does their debt look like? Let's look at what estimates. So that was estimates. Let's look. Here, I want to go here and see. So they're buying, somebody's buying back a lot of shares recently. Insiders bought 202,000 shares. So that's a good number. There hasn't been a lot of that happening. But I don't know, this reminds me like Best Buy, GameStop. It's just like they need to reinvent or die. It looks like debt dropped a ton. There's been some share dilution. I don't know what all they did to make that happen. There's just no growth here, though, man. 2% year-over-year revenue growth, and profits are flat. Short interest is at 15%. That's a big number. What? Yeah, I don't know. Let's look at what is this at? It's forward PEs. Yeah, so it's just they don't even have enough money. I don't know. This doesn't look super interesting to me. I guess the price is cheap. The market cap is 371 million. So it's really cheap, but unless you know something that Barnes & Noble is getting ready to do, I just don't see why the stock should change that much for any reason. They don't make money, and they're a dying company. So that's my thought. Master of the game, yo. Tomer Tamler, what is up with PayPal, bro? Doesn't look like green markets. Yeah, it's not getting any love. Again, I think that narrative is strong about Apple and Affirm. So it might depress it again for weeks, months. I don't know. Master of the game, we find out tomorrow if Elon gets his money, right? I voted yes twice. Good. Illegal votes to the upside. Love it. All right, here's the deal. All right, I finally got it in the start. Hey, Jesse. Hey, welcome, man. Sealess, people don't realize humanoid robots are getting very real soon. Dude, there are 2 fucking robots actively working in Elon's warehouses right now. 2. Now, these aren't just experimental. These are like they're putting them to work and figuring out how to do more and, probably just using them for wear and tear and testing and all this other stuff. It's a huge deal. That's a really huge deal. And also, yeah, Michael Dell, I don't know if you're talking about that in here, but the CEO of Dell, who's personally worth $13.7 billion, posted on X and basically showed the meme of out throwing money at it, indicating that he would be happy to spend money on Tesla Optimus bots. And Tesla doesn't even need to sell them for years because they can use them for their own factories and then maybe start selling them out in some basic service just to start to get the numbers out there, just like they did with the car. Again, the car is just the thing. The cool part is going to be the autonomy, where all the margins come from. So and then using them as battery backups, like my Cybertruck, and what I'm looking to do here soon, once I get my power share voucher from Tesla. But there's some cool shit that's getting ready to happen, and so I think the robot will be the same way. It's just the mechanism that they want to get a bunch out of. And if they can make a little bit of profit off of it, great. But they want to get them out there because the money will come in the future from like reoccurring revenue, software updates, expanding them to do more things. That I can only imagine what the Optimus store will look like. It'll be dwarf Apple in theirs. So yeah, dude, it's really fucking cool shit, man. Oh, I see. Are you selling Tesla before the vote tomorrow? Fuck no. I wouldn't sell Tesla at all. If it's against it, I'm just going to look to buy more. That's all I'm doing, Alex. I love Tesla. I'm looking to acquire more positioning in the future, not less. Sealess, but plenty of energy-rich poor countries, organized entrepreneurial countries find energy. Yeah, we just need energy is huge. Energy in the United States needs to come from all avenues, all of them, every one of them. We need a bunch, except for maybe dirty coal. Fuck that. But ones that are cleaner in nature, as long as they're driving up GDP, fuck yeah. Weren't you building PCs in the 1990s? Did you tell people, dude, you're getting a Dell? I used to... Yeah, I did. I worked at Gateway Computers, and I used to build PCs. I used to install software for them. I used to work in the warehouse delivering things that were going to be going out to people internally and externally. But yeah, I did all those things, and but it was for Gateway, not Dell. Dell was our biggest competitor, and they were a great company. But yeah, I've had my share of different jobs over time. C-list, making the USD the last major fiat that does not go to a CBDC could be good for the dollar. It's really good for the dollar. And I don't know. You're probably not going to see. Yeah. I mean, again, some major CBDCs like dictatorships will do that. But I think there's a lot of other countries that are pushing away from it, especially free ones that want to be free. All right, even with the stock market, Americans are not fully invested, still sideline money, I think. There's so much money on the sidelines. You got to realize all the equity in people's homes. They gained 40 to 50% on average over the last 4 years in value. And then stocks went up a bunch. People invested in bonds. The bonds paid them interest. The interest has been building up, and they haven't done anything with it because they're trying to figure out where to apply it and when to apply it. And then with the Treasury buying back bonds, I think that there's a bunch of money. There's a bunch of money. And then all the money that was printed by the Fed. Again, there's so much money between stock buybacks and just, investment firms and individuals looking to apply capital. Because when the interest rates are high, they're making money. They're making money, which is kind of inflationary too, right? Because when the rich are getting richer by the day just from sitting on money, then they can spend more money. Especially if you have $100 million and you're getting 5% interest on even $10 million, that is a shit ton of money and plenty to survive off of. So again, it's one of those things where the rich are just getting richer and richer and richer, and that's something where we've got to see those rates come down so that doesn't build on inflation. Anyway, all right, I think. Missing so many. Can you take a look at Chewy? I'll do that. I might call it a little bit here. What time is it? Almost 4. Yeah, I'll probably call it. I will look at Chewy though. And then again, guys, so you can check back tomorrow. I'll be online for what happens with Tesla and the stock vote. and we'll talk through that, and we'll see what happens with markets. I think it's going to be great, but I'm also accustomed to disappointment. And for long periods of time, I can do it for years. So I'm a camel when it comes to that shit, and then I'll make up my money in the end. But I do think that Tesla's gonna crush it once we get the yes vote tomorrow. That's my thesis. All right, Chewy going up, making money. PE is forward PE is 124 almost. That is a huge number. To me, I would say this company is overvalued, especially since net income hasn't really went anywhere for years. They're a $9.8 billion company, and they're sitting on 1.13 billion in cash. I don't know. Again, they're growing, but the valuation is just so high, in the hundreds. I mean, people mocked Tesla when they were 400. I did. I sold out of everything. But so like, I don't know, what's Chewy like, fucking, I don't know. Yeah, probably not excited about this one at all. Just looking at it, I don't really care too much about it. Yeah. So anyway, I think AVG, I might have missed some here. AV Go. I think I'll do that one too. Let me see here. So this is Broadcom. Revenue growth 43% year over year. Net income kind of took a hit the last couple quarters. Debt is higher. Share dilution is starting to happen. So even though we're seeing the revenue increase, we're also seeing them selling to gain some money. Revenue looks like it's continuing to go up. EPS looks really good if they hit these marks. What is the P 28.57? I don't know. This one doesn't look horrible from this level. Let's look at it from. Let's look at it over here on the actual technicals. So again, not crazy overvalued like something you would see with Chewy. Wow, this is pretty much a steady Eddie, huh? The only time that this thing really got crushed was in the pandemic. Look at that, 335 down to 150. So it got 50% cut in half. But look at it otherwise. Look at the growth in Broadcom. This is just like, this is kind of what you want to see, right? Just up and to the right. Now, it could be overvalued right now. It's up 12% in after hours. I don't know. They must have had a good quarter. Any thoughts on Iron? I don't have a lot of thoughts. I probably need to get updated with Iron and why people are so excited about it, and if there's reality behind the AI play with it. I don't know for sure. I don't think there is. I think it turns into a picks and shovel thing where the people selling the picks and shovels make all the money, and the people buying them, like Iron, end up finding out how hard the market is and how many other people bought picks and shovels, and whether or not they can assist. But I could be uneducated and just not understanding the AI market and how the full benefit of like what a Wolf or an Iron could get from AI. That's possible. I don't think it's true because I'm pretty technical in nature and I've run my own mining facilities before. And I did Ethereum mining and a bunch of other mining and Bitcoin mining and a bunch of other ASIC mining. So I got a pretty good idea of like compute and where it provides value and what the real world application is and how hard it is to do stuff like this, whether it's mining or running like AI physical hardware equipment, especially when everybody's just starting to get into it at the same time. But I hope people make a bunch of money off of it, up 200% in a couple months, 6 weeks actually, and that's great. All right. Yeah, maybe it's not registered yet, MB, with that buy. It might not be showing in there, and maybe there's a reason they purchased. But have you done a Tesla chart update? Yeah, I kind of looked at it a second ago, so I could pull it up again here real quick and show it to you. But I like what I'm seeing. I like the fact that we were pushing up against the 100 moving average today. That's this yellow line, and that's the first time we've really looked to push and break above it, going back 6 months, over 6 months. Almost 7, and we had a nice little run then. But if we can get above it now, this would just be a really good technical level to break above that. Because if we break above it, the chances of us turning 183ish into support, like some of these zones down here, are at 180. I guess it's 87 or something like that when you zoom out further. But we want to turn some of this into support. We want to get above this range where, and it looks a little convoluted here, but if you look here, once we get all the data in, let me just move this over a little bit. So if you look right here, you can see this shelf in here that we want to get back above. Right here, we want to get into the 180s. Ideally, we want to get above like 195. But if we could just get up into here, I mean, if we get this vote tomorrow and it's positive, I think GM had record sales for their EVs this last month. So if GM's doing all right with their EV sales, I think Tesla's going to be doing well too. And we've seen more positive action in China and other parts. And then we've seen these massive promotions in the United States and Europe for 1%, and just really great rates for cars that are a steal right now. So I think we're going to continue to see more of that because it behooves Tesla to produce as many of these vehicles as possible if they're going to create reoccurring revenue from subscriptions and or additional purchases in the future. So I don't know. I think this next quarter is going to surprise people to the upside, especially if we get the CS vote tomorrow. And I look forward to it. But I think that's it for me today, guys. I think that's all I can do. So tomorrow I will see you guys for the Tesla meeting. And let's pray for good things. I think it's going to happen. I think Elon's going to get paid, which is the most important part of all. We want him to have control over the company. So I'm excited for it. Can your Cybertruck mine Bitcoin? Theoretically, it could. It totally could. It's got enough power. All right, guys. I'm going to take off. Love you guys. You have a good day. Yes, the vote is tomorrow. The vote results are tomorrow. I'll be setting up a live stream for it. So just look for me. And then if you guys could hit the like and if you could comment after the stream, it helps. I appreciate it a ton. Otherwise, you guys have a great day, okay? And I will talk to you later. 1 second. While I do this.
Lil Bubble.
Peace.
Let me ride that rocket.
Buy that fucking dip, yeah. Buy that fucking dip, buy that fucking dip. Dump it on the top and spit it. Buy that fucking dip, yeah. Buy that fucking dip,
There we go.
When
Now I
it
got
drops,
it.
better
Don't know where the
cop,
fucking
let
buttons
it
are.
fucking rip. People love the pump, yeah. Got them lining up. Wow. See us winning, FOMO in and YOLO by the top. Dream of Lamborghini, girlfriend in bikini. Front covered Forbes magazines where you'll see me. Oh, what? How? Price went down. Who will save us now? Felt like a hero. Now the fear is here and it's clear as steering to zero. Yeah. Hands weak, bags heavy, and I'm ready to forget about already all the hopes and the dreams. So puke your position like mom spaghetti. I'm hungry and got long cash on and ready to just buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Oh. Buy that fucking dip. Dump it on the top and spit. Buy that shit. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. When it drops, better cop. Let it fucking rip. When there's people crying, that's when I'll be buying. Yeah. When they tell you their investment conviction is dying. Oh no. But the market's dead. Yeah. That's what TV man said. It's time to sell it, walk away and sit in cash instead. Pump, what? Price go up. Guess that's just your luck. Sold at the bottom a lot of you gotta learn how to hold on to whatever money you're gonna earn and not get shaken out when they run the stops. Although it tends to pretend to the dips and the bends, you know the trend is your friend all the way to the end. So I buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Oh. Buy that fucking dip. Dump it on the top and spit. Buy that shit. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. When it drops, better cop. Let it fucking rip. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Oh. Buy that fucking dip. Dump it on the top and spit. Buy that shit. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. When it drops, better cop. Let it fucking rip.